when you look at the current situation, we have about 1.5 billion people in the world who cannot document their identity. That means they do not have access to any service. They're not recognized legally, they cannot typically move out of the country, they cannot benefit from subsidies, they cannot get a bank account. So the huge 1.5 billion people do not have documentation that proves their identity. And most of these people are in Africa or in Asia, most of them are children and women, and most of them are poor. So this shows why this identification, this unique identity challenge is really one of social inclusion. When it comes to the state, it's also a means for extra efficiency. A unique identification system means that the state does not have to ask the same information 10 times over, that it can cross-cut information, that it can become more efficient in its own management, but also in its interface with enterprises, with people more generally. In my sense, in most countries, the opportunity of bigger outreach, of being able to provide services to people who were outside of the scope of current coverage, outweighs the risk that their identity or their data may be accessed inappropriately. The problem of most poor people in developing countries is not that the government is snooping on them, it's that the government doesn't pay attention to them. So it's there's a bit of an issue of a first world problem versus the realities of developing countries. But this being said, data protection is essential, and one needs to ensure that a climate and environment of trust is created if you really want digital identification to create the opportunities that we have just discussed. Public and private sector need to work together in this area. The public sector governments need to create the environment that will enable private sector to contribute to the solution. So first question, is identification something that needs to be provided by the public sector, or can the private sector also play a role? If you go to countries like the UK, for example, there's a mechanism in place where identity can be confirmed through private mechanisms by banks, by mobile companies that are accredited by the government. When it comes to developing countries, I think we need to look much harder at opportunities like that.